Okay, so Baltic digital media landscape. I will be the moderator of this discussion here today, and we have three distinguished guests. I would say that they are the heavyweights of the Baltic media landscape. And it's a pleasure for me to talk to you. We've got two mics there, one mic here. I'm going to take this seat right here. Got the water. I think I'm actually going to untie my tie because it's going to get hot in here. So feel relaxed, okay? The gloves are off in the ring. I'm going to take it off, unbutton my shirt, because this will be a good one. Are you ready, guys? Yeah, one silent and weak. Yeah, but that's Latvian way. Don't worry. Hello to the viewers on the online live stream. We're streaming online at Delfi and also on Facebook, so hello to you. Here on the stage today, we have Mari-Liis Rüütsalu. She is the CEO of Ekspress Grupp. Say hello to Mari.
Hi.
For those that don't know Eesti Ekspress Grupp, Eesti Ekspress Grupp works in printed press, magazines, book publishing, internet news portals. Did I forget anything?
Yeah, I think
Got it covered?
10 other companies you forgot.
Oh, okay. We're going to go on a broad scale. For the Latvian crowd here, Eesti Ekspress Grupp is best known for its Delfi.lv portal. Okay? Now everybody understands what we're talking with, okay? Next one is Andrus Raudsalu, CEO of Postimees Grupp. Postimees Grupp is working with printed press, news and entertainment portals, radio, TV, information agencies, among other things, of course. For Latvian, Postimees is best known for its news portal TV.net and information agency Leta. Round of applause.
Thank you, thank you.
And last but not least, Christian Anting, CEO of All Media Baltics. All Media Baltics operates in TV, radio, digital advertising, news and entertainment portals, and on-demand video. In Latvia, we mainly associate All Media Baltics with the TV channels TV3, LNT, TV6, radio channel Star FM, portal Artis.lv, and TV Play video platform. A round of applause. Excellent. So we know what we are talking here today on the stage, and the topic is Baltic digital media landscape. So I think that's what we're going to start off with, an introductory question to all of you. So from your point of view, because you have different points of view, how would you characterize the Baltic digital media landscape as a whole from your point of view? Not just talking about digital, we're going to go into digital, but give us a broad overview. Where do you think where are we now in the media landscape here in the Baltics? As you wish.
Okay, I have only one sentence to say, that we don't need to be we don't need to be ashamed of anything. So after visiting many conferences about media and digital media, I think that our landscape is quite okay, also comparing worldwide.
There's worse in the world.
Of course, there's always worse and there's always better.
Okay, good answer.
I would say that perhaps the question is a bit wrong, so there is no such thing as a digital media per se, so all media is digital at the moment.
It is.
As there is no digital entrepreneurship, you know, all the enterprises are digital, so basically we are talking about the media, so let's not just stick with the digital media. But for the landscape, I think there is a lot of uncertainty at the moment, and especially looking towards All Media Baltics, so it's the question mark is in the air, what is happening to those guys. We see that a lot of not traditional media companies are stepping into media landscape, so telco specifically, what they will bring, what this will create, we will see in the future, but this is very interesting times we're living in.
So I want to underline that, because there's no more digital media. That is what you said, and I could agree with that. We're going to talk about printed press in a bit, but we'll see where that takes. How about you?
Well, I think all media is digital now. It's not that there's no digital media. I think that all media is digital by now, so this is a little bit artificial differentiation that we have had in our way as traditional media companies to embrace digital is something that those boundaries are gone, and that is, I think, what we are seeing in the market. To answer your initial question, how to characterize or describe the market, I think it is a very innovation-driven market is what you see. There is a lot of energy in the market. You see it in conferences like here, where there is a lot of things going on with the right level of competition, and with the challenges that a relatively small market then brings with it. So there's high energy, there's high innovation, and high level of competition. That's how I would characterize it.
Mm-hmm. High energy, okay. I'm going to write that down. But let's talk about then the digital media. Okay, so right now we understand everything is digital. What are the trends or the problems that you have to face, all in all? Because everything can be good. Of course, I understand it's good in the Baltics, but there have to be like some trends you have to face, work around, problems in the digital landscape nowadays. And don't tell me everything's good, because it's not.
Yeah, of course. The big fight is going on in our portals. We are fighting for the advertising money with Google and Facebook, and we need to find our way to get our budgets done. And I think that this is one of the biggest challenges, and I think that one of the biggest opportunities is, of course, digital subscriptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I would even take this picture a little bit broader. I think that, again, the world is changing around us. I would say what is one really interesting step is that if you were monitoring what Apple did last week, or what was it, 2 weeks ago, when they actually stepped one step closer to, I would say, post-mobile or post-smartphone world. So actually we will have, probably in a few years, having those wearables, speaking through the AirPods, and then, you know, if this small screen that we are carrying around is going away, so how this would affect us all. So this is quite an interesting challenge, actually, we will face. So there are technological changes in the world that are happening, which you know, we can't stop in any way. So we just have to go along and find new ways of doing business.
Does media have to translate into the audio platform nowadays more, that we have AirPods and other audio devices like Alexa, Siri, and otherwise?
Yeah, if you see what is happening in the world, so you know, the podcasts are blooming, so there is a reason for that. I'm not sure that all those guys who stand behind this podcast renaissance are thinking or thought at the moment that, you know, we would probably are shifting into no screen world soon. But yes, it's definitely a new business horizon for, I guess, all of us.
Hashtag no screen world. That's a good one. Write it down. How about you, Christian?
Well, maybe just a comment on the podcast. I do think, because we are looking at that as one of the topics that we hear more and more. I think it is a little bit also a reflection of consumers coming back to wanting to hear stories, and especially local stories. So the podcast, and on the back of that, we are seeing also a little bit. It's not a renaissance, but a bounce back of radio as a segment. And I do think that it is very much connected to the fact that you get local language on the radio. It is a moderator that not only has the music but reflects on what is happening. So it is a combination of local content, relevant local content, and local language, that both on the podcast side and on the radio side, maybe one of the trends that will gain even more momentum going forward.
Okay.
And I think that podcast is, or like radio format, this audio format is the only format of media which you can consume by doing some other things. So when you are at the gym, or when you are walking with your dog, cooking, whatever, then this is the only media you can listen or consume while doing something else.
That is an interesting insight, because I have to agree, because of course with your eyes you're seeing something, you're taking in the world. Audio and your ears, that's something that's like a side effect, right, on the side. So actually you can do all these things, and I think we had actually a discussion about podcasts earlier before that, and podcasts about news. That's not a far future, right?
Yeah, but I would agree and disagree, because there is something which is not here yet, so it's not commonplace to use that. But if we go into the world of augmented reality, then basically it's also something that you probably be able to consume.
Paint me a picture. How will news look in the world of augmented reality in 5 to 10 years, when all these devices will be available to us like bread?
I don't know. Perhaps the same, I guess the Google guy showed us this gift that he was given to his sister, which is this Google device you put on your tabletop, and it teaches you to cook. You don't need that device. You will have this projected into your eye somehow. So which means that you are walking the streets, something is projected into your eye. You don't have to have the smartphone. It could be information, it could be advertisement, it could be whatever, and how this information will look like. There are definitely going to be new standards, new formats for that, as well as new formats for advertisement. So this is something we need to think about now, because in 5 years this is going to be commonplace.
I wanted to touch on something that you said before that, and that is the large companies like Facebook, Google, and others. A topic that has been raised in some discussions, not only in discussions, is taxing them, giving digital tax for the large companies. It's debatable whether it will be implemented or not in the future, but what is your opinion on that? Should large companies be taxed? Of course. Why? Why such a strong opinion?
Yeah. In Estonia, we have initiated, we have initiative that we are driving this digital tax law with all the media companies, because there is the main thing, which is to be treated equally, which means that all the media companies which make business in Estonia, they pay about 25 million of taxes per year, and euros. And there's platforms which we are not only talking about Google and Facebook. These are all the platforms. I mean, like AliExpress or Spotify or even Etsy.com. So they are making money on our markets like Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, and they don't pay any taxes in here. They don't usually create any jobs as well.
We're not talking just about news and media, we're talking in general.
Yeah, in general. This is in general, like platforms. So, and we have initiated this digital tax law in Estonia, and we have gone quite far with that already. So we have proposed the law to the government as well, and it hasn't been accepted yet, but we're working towards that very hard.
German, do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, sure. Give a simple example. You being a Latvian, you would love to have nice roads to drive on, healthcare that is functioning, education system, and this is all financed by taxes. And then if somebody comes from outside and takes the money away from the market, and no taxes are paid, so how do you pave your roads? How do you educate your children? So this is quite normal that you pay your taxes where actually you get your money from.
But do you really think that is realistic? I understand you're far in Estonia, but do you really think that on a higher level or on a European level that can be managed with all their money, all their power?
There are already 10 countries in Europe, approximately 10 countries, which have initiative already gone very far. And as you maybe all know, in France, the law enforced in July And so there are like Italy, Great Britain, Slovenia, Czech Republic, Italy, then Spain. So they are all moving towards that.
So basically, it works not from top to bottom, but from bottom to top. Everybody will
it
do
depends,
that.
yeah, because the OECD is also working on a solution right now as the worldwide solution, but they have been working on that for many years already. So, and our thought is that we're not going to wait for that. We are going ahead with our initiative.
Yeah, like I guess that the big companies would understand that at one point as well. You know, if there wouldn't be any education system in Latvia, then nobody can read, which means that nobody can use Google services. Well, perhaps there would be audio services or only audio services at one point, but nevertheless, you know, you have to give back something to the society that actually feeds you.
Let's talk about the advertising markets. In the recent Baltic Media Health Check research paper, by the way, it's available online, so I really recommend you to get it if you're interested in media and where we are right now. We saw in this paper that the advertising market grew in 2018, which is good for also for media, but it hasn't surpassed its peak in 2008 when it was $406 million euros. Sorry. So, what are your predictions about the advertising market? Will it ever reach the peak point of 2008 for media, and will it surpass it? Because I understand that advertising, correct me if I'm wrong, advertising is a key part of media existence.
In that survey, were there also Google and Facebook, the spendings included in there?
I can't answer you that. I have to check.
Yeah, so if we will take into consideration also these amounts, so I'm not sure that we haven't surpassed it already. But I think that the biggest market or the market which lost most of it is Latvia. So Latvia was like huge before the crisis.
Will it come back to that number, Christian? What do you think?
Well, I think just to add to that, the question is what base you want to see, because there's two effects. One is the low base from which recovery has to happen, plus then the outflow of money that is leaving the domestic market. So if I was to take those both together, we are probably back on a level. So and that ties into your question before, how you want to regulate the market and ensure a level playing field for all players, because it's not only that we are seeing a market recovery, and hopefully that continues. Depends on the economic outlook now a little bit, but again, there is also then the second part of it is, and where is this advertising money and where are these budgets ending up? And right now there is a big outflow of money to big global players.
Mm-hmm. So if we look at the numbers in this research paper, some are doing better, some are doing worse, but of course we want a diversity of media in the field, so there are diversity of opinions. So looking at media, what evolutionary steps have to be taken so a company can exist in the future? We have seen some examples here also in Latvia, when media grows out of its printed press, does events, etc. What has to be done? Does it have to be like a package deal nowadays to survive financially and grow maybe in the future?
I would say yes and no. Perhaps, you know, all the models will work. You know, you could have side businesses that keep you running. We, for example, for a long time had this classified business, which kept us very heftily profitable. So again, you can sell it, then you have a lot of money. This is also good.
Classified business.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Classified portals, you know. Like SS in Latvia, so we didn't have any in Latvia, by the way. Well, actually, we had City24, which is still compared to if you compare it to SS, but we had really strong presence in Lithuania and also in Estonia. But this is past now anyway. So, but I think also there is a model that we haven't explored to the fullest yet, which is subscription. So I guess Spotify, Netflix have done a good job, you know, to educate people all over the world that you have to pay for good content. And this actually coming back to what Kristjan said, that when he mentioned about the podcast, so actually people need the local news, they need local content. And what is also protecting our market, we are speaking those secret languages, so it's not English. So therefore we have something to offer, and this is definitely also a way forward for the media companies to start actually charging for the content.
I have a very short answer to that, independent journalism.
And how does paid media help that?
I mean, when you have independent journalism, then you're a healthy company and you can earn money on that.
Okay, Christian?
I think ultimately it's going to be a mix of subscription-based and advertising finance. I mean, we see that there was a lot of trial and error around the subscription models, but the success stories that we're hearing now on the digital side, when it comes to journalism, also shows that people are more and more prepared. So the ground has been set by maybe entertainment-driven platforms like Netflix or Spotify, but it is the first time also in the panel before, when you hear those numbers, you see there's an increasing amount of people that value journalism, that value news, and are prepared to pay for that, or to follow it through advertising finance. So I do think there will be a dual model established going forward. Now, to what weight and how fast those will be developed, I don't know, but there's certainly now a very high traction for subscription-based models.
Okay, let's talk about this topic, because this is a very interesting topic here in Latvia. Of course, Delfi is spearheading this, and they're very open talking about their ups and their downs in the recent Baltic Media Health Check event, which is cool to hear. So the question is, will this paid content, will this shiny toy really be like a thing that will grow and will be used by the majority in the Baltics, or will it end up in like a niche product that some use because they enjoy slow media and quality content, or what are your predictions? Will it become like a major thing in the next decade?
I think that it's not going to be a niche product. I mean, news.
What makes you say that?
News will be free. But deeper content and the more serious content will be behind the paywall. And we have seen during the last year that journalism has got back their strength because of the social media platforms eating themselves from the bottom. And all this trustfulness which they have lost. And so I think that we in every country, in Delfis, and I think that Postimees will say the same, that we have record-breaking numbers almost every week, because people come back to media. They know that in media portals you can have the information which you can trust. So that's why I answered to the previous question that independent journalism is the key for like earning future revenues. I can't say which will be like the main revenue stream like in 7 years. So the landscape is changing so much. But I mean, if you have the good product, then you can earn money.
Christian, do you agree with this? Because All Media Baltics more about video, television, radio, right?
Well, that's
Can TV be put behind a paywall?
Well, the pay TV has existed for almost as long as free TV has. So, or commercial television started, and then there were the pay TV platforms established for certain types of content that were early on kind of made for pay, like premium sports or movies. So how far down the value chain that should be extended is something to be seen. But I do think honestly that it's very encouraging news to see this traction that we are seeing on the digital side now, that there is an appreciation and evaluation of content. It's basically what people do, and I fully agree. It is the trust in established brands that is bringing people back also to the brands they know in a world that is so difficult on the media side to judge, are these real news, fake news, what type of news it is. So you have like lighthouse brands like our three companies would represent, where people know that that is a safe place to go for finding media, qualitative media, and then taking a decision either to pay through a subscription or through consumption of advertising. I think that is an encouraging development.
Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about media audiences, a thesis that media audiences are declining, is it true or false, or is it just the change of media that is used? If we take, for example, a printed press in this Baltic Media Health Check paper, the lines are going down. Lines are going down, and the question we ask is, when will printed press die forever? Right? Do you think there is a rock bottom for media audiences, or it just jumps from one pot to the next?
I guess your question is the same, that will the VHS kill cinema? No, it didn't. So no, actually I guess all the forms of media will remain. So perhaps they will change in their way of consumption. Perhaps at one point printed paper will be more of a slow product, which you are really taking your time to enjoy. Nevertheless, they will all stay there. So and by the way, we should be very aware that it could be this vicious circle that we are inducing, saying that some forms of media will vanish. For example, look at what happened to the papers. And sorry, talking about the papers on this digital media panel, but if the papers get thinner and thinner, then of course there is no point of subscribing to that. What we did, we actually made the paper thicker. So Postimees is now 32 pages. I guess there is no other paper in the Baltics that thick. Express maybe is,
But this is
weekly.
One.
Yeah, exactly. So, and actually we stopped the outflow of subscribers. So we're still losing subscribers year to year, but this is going very, very slowly. We introduced a new paper for young audience, and this is actually going great. It's completely new product, just for the kids, and the subscribers are showing healthy growth. So it's, again, if you have the same that actually everybody has said, if you have good quality content, if you really provide value for your customers, then you shouldn't be worried too much about your being alive in 10 or 15 or 100 years.
You know what the first video shown on MTV in Europe was when they launched?
What is that?
Was Video Killed the Radio Star. So, and that was a gutsy PR move by MTV at the time, and then declaring the death of radio. We had it just at the beginning of the discussion. So I think it takes a while to really kind of completely kill. Again, evolution, adaptation, that's all fine, but I also trust that there still will be newspapers in a couple of years from now. So again, it's about evolution, about adaptation, about changing the business model, but I do think there will be for a long time still what, if you want to call it traditional media, but the established media genres in one form or the other.
So let's talk about radio a little bit, because also digital. My question is, when will linear radio die? Because TV is going on demand, right? You have all these platforms. You can get content on different platforms. Radio still, of course, some is on demand. Still, linear radio is living. Will it live forever? Or will it change its stripes and colors and go more on demand? For example, in podcast form.
I think, as always, we will have both. But I do think, and that is what we're seeing, these resilience of radio even come back now. I do think it is built very much on a very intimate relationship that the DJs build with an audience. So, and that is something that you have in a more sterile environment, like on a Spotify. You don't have that, and playlists are great, and we all use those. But you have, if you want, disappointment when I'm driving to my job, when I'm doing something in certain ways. You have, again, this local attachment. It's a DJ that you relate to, that you have an invisible bond to a certain, in a certain way, which is a curation of content, which is a storytelling again that I don't think it will disappear, and we're seeing that that is becoming even more relevant. But people see that as part of the entertainment. It's not only about listening to the song, but that it's also valued, the curation and the storytelling that the DJs do.
You're saying that radio is doing good, but I think that numbers in the Baltic Media Health Check said that Lithuania's 5 most popular radio stations, their audiences are falling. So what will bring radio back? Is it more back to talk, more back to just music in the background in your car?
I can give you an example. So we had, and this is not a magic formula which can bring every channel back, but we had a failing radio station called Uno in Estonia. 3 years ago we did a complete reshuffling of what it is. So in 3 years it has grown 3 times. So it's one of the most listened stations now. But this actually, again, we came back to that you need to know your audience, you need to know what they want. There is completely different programming now, and it's growing steadily. So I can't tell that the radio is dead based on that. So it's actually, you have to find your audience, and then of course, tastes change. You can't go with the same formula used 10 or 20 years ago, which worked on those people at that time. So you have to change with your audience. But if you can provide value again, you can survive and you can actually strive.
I think we're actually coming back to what you said in the beginning, that media has to be on high energy, evolutionary, finding their new product. So podcasts. Let's talk about podcasts. We had a lecture here, a guy from Slovakia, presenting their, as they said, revolution of podcasts. He gave us all the details, how they did it in the Baltics. I think it's in a blossom period. Delfi has their podcast platform. So when will podcasts in the Baltics climb out of that blossom period and actually bloom into the beautiful flower?
Ooh. I don't think that it's going to be only podcasts. It's never, you don't have this to the complex question, simple answer. But in Estonia, we don't have any radio stations in any country, so we are producing only the podcasts. And in Estonia, they are really blooming. So,
why so? Why Estonia?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't know.
Is it the content?
I think it's about the content and about hitting the audience, as Andrus said previously. So we are really doing good in podcasts in Estonia. We are also doing podcasts in Latvia and Lithuania, but we have the most advanced market in Estonia. So people are already searching for certain podcasts, weekly podcasts, which is sports is doing very well. We have different sports podcasts, I think at least 5 to 7. And we are trying different formats all the time. So we are killing the formats, so we are introducing new formats. You have to be changing all the time the products to find the niche which works for you.
How about you, gentlemen? Are you going to invest in podcasts?
About the blooming, I would say, of course, now then our podcast experience mostly is based on the radio station. So we have the Kuku station in Estonia, which
Kuku.
is yes, Kuku, which is the well-known talk radio, the most popular actually privately owned talk radio, and the only one privately owned, I guess.
Äripäev as well.
Oh yeah,
business news.
Now Äripäev has as well, yeah, and some of the shows have actually very keen podcast audience as well. And we were just counting a few months ago, and then actually our podcast audience is larger than on some smaller radio stations at the moment already. So again, if you have a good format, if it's something that people like, then it's definitely going to bloom.
So a question to you, Christian.
Yeah.
About the television stations in Latvia. I read somewhere on I think it was in an interview for Delfi, you said that LNT and TV3, that probably they will be joined, but not many people will be let go. As we've seen in the past week or so, around 30 people is what is the decline in the news teams. For Latvia and for Baltics, there is a considerable amount of a team that's actually a team that could hold up a media company. So why did this happen? Was that purely a business move? No hard feelings? What's your take on that?
Well, maybe just correct. So we are not merging the channels. So what we are doing,
media teams.
No, the news department. So if you want. That is on one side a development that you have seen on the print side already 5 or 10 years ago. So the centralization of news desks is not something that would be something very new, and that follows a necessity not that much financial, but to structure the company to face all these challenges that we have been discussing the last half an hour. So how do we position our company to address the audience that is leaving the linear television, that is moving into the digital space? So how can we create, through a differently structured centralized team, then also news offers that can be distributed on the digital side that are still suitable for linear? So this is very much part of a larger strategic plan to position our company for the next 10, 20 years, and looking very carefully at the lessons that we have learned from the print segment.
Because some of the topics that people are worried about is that the merging of these media teams can lead to lesser amount of opinions, about 2 teams, 2 opinions, 1 team, 1 opinion.
Well, I think the fundamental question that has to be addressed is the fact that the viewers are leaving the medium. So we are having on linear year after year less and less viewers, same and happened maybe with printed readership. So, and the first question is, how do we still manage to reach those viewers? So it is then spreading the ever dwindling amount of viewers over 1 or 2 teams is then less relevant than the question, how can I really make sure that I have a pluralistic media space where I can reach all, also the especially younger demographics, that we are losing into a digital space, and we need to address in future. Now, how do I ensure plurality of opinion in a centralized news department? Well, I do think that the colleagues can speak at length to what the unified news desks on the print side have achieved. So I do not think that leads to a limitation of opinion or of news, but that it allows to really now produce news and programs to the same extent or even more than we had before, but suited to and tailored to the needs of new platforms.
Do you agree? Is that a trend that we could see in the future, the merging of news teams?
Yes, me and Christian had a lunch today, and I talked that we did the merging of the editorial desk of the daily news already like 10 years ago. So this is nothing new, and I completely disagree with your opening sentence that when you said that 2 teams, 2 opinions, 1 team, 1 opinion. There is never 1 opinion among the journalistic team. So every journalist has their own opinion, and there is no policy for 1 opinion for 1 team.
Well, it's like 60 people to 30 people, less opinions.
But there are the other medias as well, so we are not narrowing down the opinions.
Okay. And then actually I would say also that the good editorial team works as one organism, so it's not like a lot of course, a lot of people, a lot of different opinions, but then again, a good editorial team can fully, develop their independent opinion on anything, and then basically this stands out. And then, of course, I would also comment on that, is the merging of teams necessarily a thing of future? It might be in certain areas. It makes sense to, actually have a stronger teams. Perhaps also, by making the teams smaller, you can actually pay people more, which means that they're more happier and more motivated to do their work. There is also, out of this development ideas, what we want to achieve, you can also demerge. For example, we are at the moment demerging, so we have had entertainment section for a very long time within the Postimees team. We are taking it out now. So to have this, white, clean journalistic content separated from tabloid content. So it depends on your aims. So it's not necessarily that we all merging into one.
We're approaching the end of this discussion. We have some more time, but if I can ask my colleague Lydia to help me with a microphone, maybe we can take one of your microphones because we're limited here today. Are there any questions here in the audience? Because you are here, it is your time and chance to ask a question to the three heavyweights of the Baltic media landscape. Yeah, one in the last row there. Please state your name and who you represent.
Hi, Artis Ozoliņš, representing HTTP. We sell Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn in the market. Just wanted to make a note that this is really the best panel I ever experienced. It's a really quality audience. Unfortunately, not so many. So this is why I'm going to ask a question, just out of the curiosity and with respect to the panelists. Yes. So by saying that you want to impose a tax on a Facebook and Google in the market, do you think it will help advertisers in the market, and it also will help you to bring back the revenues that you have lost? Do you really think so? And why do you think so?
No. If you listen me carefully, Artis, we know each other. So we used to work together. I said it's about treating equally the players in the market. This is what it's about. We need to we need to do our job ourselves. It will not help media to bring back some circulations of paper media or something. No, it's not about that. It's about like also Andrus explained in here. So if we are, if the companies earn money on the market where they are, they should contribute to the society as well.
Fully agree to you.
Got your answer? Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Please, do use this chance. It's not always you can get such fine people on the stage. Yes, a question there.
Hi, thank you. Probably I also didn't listen carefully, but I have a question about this paid media and then sponsored. And for me, somehow it sounded like it might be some kind of gap for the audiences. I mean, for those who don't earn enough to pay for the media. And what do you think about this? Or are you sure that even if it's going to be advertising paid content, it's still good quality and it's only not comfortable to read it? What's your take on this?
As I have the mic, so maybe some sentences and then I will give it to Andrus as well. So not paid media doesn't ever mean that it's like bad content. Which I said before is that news is free, and when we think ourselves back like 15 years, or not, okay, 20, 25 years, so everybody paid for quality content in newspapers. So this is where we are heading right now as well. So, okay, yeah. Andrus.
So informing the public will always be free, that's what you're saying?
Yes, and then actually, you know, if you look what the media does, actually, it's basically, you know, you buy food, but this is food for your brain. So you know, you need to feed your brain as well if you don't want to end up, you know, being devastated somehow. And we had just interesting experience. So going now very much into the details of Estonian media landscape, but we have a postal service which is raising the price for you know, getting the newspapers to your door year on year, every year. And this year they had a quite hefty plan to raise the price very high. And then the public broadcaster did this survey with the people on rural areas, so not probably the wealthiest people. And it was quite heartwarming. There were a lot of old ladies who said that, I don't care how much this newspaper costs, I will always pay for that. So again, there is, I wouldn't say that, I think people feel value in this valuable content, so they, it's a part of their lives, so it's, but we also have to understand that, we need to feed the journalists as well, so in order to be able to produce something of value, they also need to be healthy and feeling well. So, that's the cost of doing business.
We're going to take one last question at the end, but as we touch the paid content again, Mari, I have a question for you. I read on the Baltic Media Health Check that in Lithuania, Delfi subscription offers translated articles from Economist, Harvard Business Review, etc. In Estonia, the package includes articles from Ekspress Meedia newspapers and magazines, while in Latvia, it includes original content across various topics. So 3 different approaches from my amateur point of view. Which experiment is working better, comparing these 3 a little bit different approaches?
We're not at the point where I could say which works better, because in Estonia we have had paywall for 10 years, in Latvia 6 months, or is it more already, 8 months? Yeah, so, and in Lithuania for 3 months. So it's, but I agree that we have 3 completely different approaches, but we have 3 completely different companies as well. In Estonia, as we have these newspapers, weekly ones, monthly ones, daily ones, so we have the content already. And in Lithuania, the market is so much more bigger. So we are trying the different products which works the best, and we have our Ekspress Group is all the time facilitating the sharing of the best knowledge among the companies, and so let's find out which one works the better. And as we have the different companies, and as I'm always saying that there's no like this Baltic person who wants a specific one, this product. So there are Latvians, Lithuanians, and Estonians.
As time is running out, last question from my side to all of the panelists, then please raise your hand immediately when I give the floor to you, because there are going to be 1 or maybe 2 questions from your side. The last question from my side, the overarching topic in the Baltic Media Health Check magazine was media freedom. That was on the cover, extensive articles, really good stuff. Please check out this material. Talk from your point of view. Have you experienced the limitation of media freedoms in your companies? If so, maybe you can give some examples of that, if you can talk about it.
I think that in average, we have a very good situation in Baltics. So we are very highly ranked also in the charts which are made the media independence. So the overall situation is quite good. There are always, and there will be always, the people, the organizations, the governments which will try to influence media. So it happens all the time and everywhere.
Yeah, as well, we definitely feel that actually, I think most of the people who work for Postimees joined because of that, because they feel that this free media is important for the society and they want to contribute. So it's not, of course it's nice to get the salary, but this is not the driving part for those people. And I guess the good example of this freedom is that if you've, followed the news, then in several occasions actually Postimees editorial has de-elected editor-in-chief, which they actually didn't felt that is good enough for them. So I guess there is, we are very free.
Okay, Christian, how about you?
I think I can only agree that we are in a very healthy situation. There's always areas and things that can be improved, that need to be monitored, but overall I also do think that it is a healthy situation.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. The floor is yours. One question, another one, another one. Please raise your hand. Two questions, one. Okay, that's the final one. Make it a good one.
Hello, my name is Ingus and I represent Latvia and Delfi. My question is specifically to Mr. Anting. When the previous Baltic media health check was presented a year ago, your boss of Providence Equity, the Frenchman, I forgot the surname, he made a very impressive presentation about how you are strategically very devoted to invest in TV Play app. He explained a lot how this is the only way how to survive of local languages to Netflix, HBO, because people will leave sooner or later linear television, and people will need a local series and local sports. Now you're practically silent about it. What happened?
There has not been any change in strategy. Just to answer that question, we have been busy in executing our strategy now. So we made an announcement. So the commitment to pushing what is a new digital offers, entertainment, sport, but as we announced last week, also news is something that we have been working on, that we have been heavily investing as a company, and that you will, at the end of this month, see the first outcome of that. So the TV Play there's going to be a new service launched under the brand Go3, which is a subscription-based service, and it's the first of a number of services that we are planning to launch. So Go3 as an SVOD service in the fields of entertainment and sports. So strategy continues to be intact. We needed some time to really kind of execute it, and now the first outcome should be available in the coming 2-3 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay. One last short question. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mari-Liis Rüütsalu, Andrus Raudsalu, and Christian Anting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.